Hey everybody, this is Travis Hansen, Speed Guy. I'm going to label myself the Speed Guy. I'm going to brand it. I don't think anybody else has. So I'm an athletic and speed development coach here in Reno and director of the South Rack Speed School. Here to discuss the second topic relating to acceleration and speed development. And that topic is going to be core function for improving acceleration and speed. So the core in general is a hot term. I think it's surpassed that title of a trend, and it's kind of a mainstay. So I know it's a topic that many people will be interested in, not only in terms of developing speed and acceleration, but also just in general. So the core, first we'll start out with the definition. The core is basically a series of 30 muscles that reside and cross throughout a specific segment of the human body or kinetic chain, and that's the spine. I'm going to reference Eric Bessey really quick because this is where I initially heard it. And he had a book, I think it was his dissertation, or it's part of his master's curriculum when he was graduating school, and it was published, but it was on unstable surface training. But indirectly it made mention of the core, and he referenced that as kind of a garbage term, and I'd have to agree because if we actually study the anatomy, the core encompasses pretty much the whole body. So you got what's called intrinsic muscles and extrinsic muscles. So intrinsic muscles are muscles that only attach and function at one region, whereas extrinsic are muscles that attach in one region and then another region, and perform functions through different parts of the body, and kind of expand what we call more distally, say into your arms and your legs. So if you look at the anatomy, actually it pretty much makes up the whole body. So when we say core, from an anatomical point of view, it's the whole body. So I know a lot of people in science don't like that term. I really like that term, but I'll use it. And how I'm going to reference the core is just strictly your spine, your body center, or the middle of your body. You got upper body, lower body, and then middle body. So we're just going to label the core as your middle body or your center for the sake of this discussion. And the core has 4 regions. So it's 30 muscles, four functions. So it's 30 muscles that serve at least 4 functions. And that first function is going to be energy transfer. So without your core is your gateway into being able to transfer energy, to and from your limbs and the ground. And if you have a weak core, a lot of energy is going to be lost, or what we call energy will be leaked through the body, and you're not going to be able to move as effective. So we have to make sure that we train the core the right way, which I'm going to go over, and it's strong, so that no force is lost in a movement pattern. Function number 2 of the core, get this one out of the way, and it's the least important, yet it's the most emphasized. Everything's still backwards, it seems, in the industry, but the core can be a mover. It has the capacity or ability to move the spine, flex and bend, rotate, laterally flex the spine. Various muscles serve specific functions, and so that's usually how we train. So you think crunches and things along those lines. It can move, but if we analyze human movement, say in sport, for example, running, jumping, cutting, the core isn't moving. So, remember I said it expands the whole body. Like for this discussion, the middle of the body isn't moving. It's a non-stop stabilizer for that movement, while other muscle groups are moving. Yet we're training the core to be a mover. So there's definitely some disconnect there. So it has that ability, but we really shouldn't work it because it's non-specific and it's unnecessary. And just to reference Dr. Stuart McGill, he's a famous spinal biomechanist who's researched how the spine and core reacts to exercise. I think it might be a bit of an overreaction that you shouldn't flex or bend the spine. There's only so many cycles of flexing and bending that the spine can tolerate over a lifespan. Maybe a little far-fetched because I've seen a lot of people flex and bend their spine their whole life and they're okay. I think we just degenerate at some point. But I think the message there was we don't want to do too much of that. We should limit it because we do it a lot naturally. Say when I'm sitting, I was just demonstrating terrible posture, flexing my spine, compression, everything else, but we want to limit this because of that. We need to take that into account, and then also the flexing and bending, it really doesn't serve a role in movement, so we don't really need to do it. But I'd be a hypocrite. We still probably maybe 2.5 to 5% of our program we do include what I like to call core mobility work over. We're doing crunch variations, all that. So we still build some strength, and psychologically it's satisfying for the client because there's still that stigma, or I think it's everlasting, where people need to do some of that. So if you do a little bit, it's fine, but I think a majority of our core training should be spent developing the right way, and I'm going to go over that shortly. So that's reason number 2. So you can move the spine, reason number 2. Reason number 1, energy transfer. Reason number 3, it serves as a platform or a strength base for all the main muscles. So if the core is weak, it kind of serves as an anchor, is the way I look at it. So the other muscles are driving off of your core, which needs to be strong, and that allows them to summon more pressure. Of course, they're able to move more. So if you have a weak core, you're not going to be as powerful and explosive at your limbs. And so we really need to build that platform, make it as rigid and strong and as stable as possible. We're going to move a lot better expression. Reason number 4. Hold on. Your references. Here, I'll be right back. I'm back. Alright, sorry about that. It's a stabilizer. So, along the lines of the platform, that's its role. It's the core specific role in movement, and this is how we want to train it. It's a stabilizer. So, like I said, sprinting, running, jumping, its other areas moving while that spine stays still for the rest of the body. So, specific to sprinting, try to be quick with this. The core is an anti-rotator and anti-extender, and it prevents 2 fatal errors to being able to move faster, and that prevents you from being able to move faster, and that is rearing up. So you're too tall, you're kind of extending at your spine, you shut down your hips, so you're not getting as much drive from your glutes and your hamstrings. Because that anterior core, your abdominals are weak, your facet joints and your spine are taking a hit, hyperextended, and all that energy is leaking out through your hips instead of continuing on through your shoulders. And then reason number 2, just anti-rotation. You look at a lot of sprinters, if you assess them, whether they're, I think every level, you still see this mistake being committed, unfortunately, but there's just rotation occurring at the torso in conjunction with the arms. We want rotation at the arms, but we want the core to stay stiff and straight so that all that energy is getting leaked it's getting applied in that intended direction, which, say for sprinting, is linear. So if they're rotating, they're leaking energy out through their torso. Because the core is weak, they're going to be moving in unintended directions. They're going to be a lot less efficient, and they're going to be a lot slower. So specific exercises, I'll get some demonstrations up. Right now you can reference the people I'm going to take, because I think they do a good job in execution and a proper technique. But check out some of Jim Smith's stuff, Mike Boyle, Eric Cressy. You can just YouTube or Google this stuff, and good demonstrations should be provided from these guys. But renegade rows or core rows is what we like to call them. Jason Ferrugia too. Renegade rows, core rows, any unilateral training of the extremities puts a greater demand on that rotational core system. So lunges, single arm push-ups, sprinting. The nature of sprinting itself is obviously going to build that, as long as you're cueing in tightness and to keep that core stable and strong. So it's developing as an anti-rotator rather than a mover at the spine. Any plank variation will mesh in, lateral and rotational prevention of movement, and that's about it for now. That's a good kind of a general starting basics prescription for satisfying that exercise category and that function, so that you're able to run a lot faster. So I think that pretty much covers it. I want to mention one more thing. So referencing a book I read years ago that really kind of hammers this message home. Alan Cosgrove, in his book, The Program Design Bible, indirectly referenced a chart that pertains here, relates here, and he showed all the anatomy of the core. So take from the front, and it showed how the fibers were arranged, or how they ran. Their line of pull is what we like to call in science, and all of them were oblique or diagonal or parallel, which is very indicative that the core by nature in its design, for whatever reason, has a strong capacity to be able to either rotate or prevent rotation. So we really need to build this, because the core, that's what it's meant to do. That's what the anatomy shows and supports, and this is where its potential's at. So we need to take full advantage and capitalize on it. So that's it for this discussion. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back soon to discuss another topic on the topic of acceleration and speed. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye.